Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uh, Everyone who's joining from different parts of the day around the world. We are thrilled to have you here today, and welcome to this first Fab City Roundtable of 2024. I will be your moderator for today. My name is Mitali Parikh. I am projects lead at the Fab City Foundation, and I'm based in Singapore. As part of the annual Global Fab City agenda, the goal of these roundtables is to promote synergies and share knowledge within the Fab City Global Initiative and for everyone who's interested in Fab City in general. These roundtables will feature people from our global community, network coordinators who will share some personal insights and information on various aspects of the Fab City handbook and through their own experiences. We will cover through these roundtables topics like how to become a Fab City, how to form your Fab City consortium, how to host local events, and other related topics. This should be very helpful to all cities potentially planning to join the Fab City network or take the Fab City pledge this year or in the coming years. So the agenda for today's roundtable is pretty simple. We're gonna start with today's expert insights on how to become a Fab City. This will be about a 30-minute sharing uh, by our guest speaker, Milena Juarez. This will be followed by a 15 to 20-minute question and answer session for discussions before concluding today's roundtable with key takeaways and some closing remarks. Please write your questions in the chat or save them for the later part of the session. And today we have joining from the Fab City Foundation team, Elena, the communications lead, Freda, knowledge manager, Joanna, also from the communications team, and they will help share the relevant links and resources in the chat. The session will be recorded, just a heads up on that. And now to start with, I am happy to introduce to you Milena Juarez, a representative from from the founding Fab City Barcelona, the first Fab City to take the Fab City Challenge pledge back in 2014. At this 10-year mark, we'll be looking at how it all starts for cities who want to join. Milena is a Brazilian environmental engineer, and she's sustainability and action researcher at Fab Lab Barcelona and IAC. With a master's degree in industrial ecology, Milena has been involved in various interdisciplinary projects focused on circular economy. She supports the local activities of Fab City Barcelona, as well as the establishment of the network of productive spaces in the city. Through her insights, we will learn from Barcelona's journey how to become a Fab City. Welcome to the stage, Milena, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. I will start sharing my screen. And can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Now it should be in full screen. Say, here we go. Right?
Perfect.
Amazing. Thank you. So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity for presenting a bit of our strategies, challenges, and activities that have been developing here in Barcelona. As you already introduced me, but just to say that I have been working for the last 5 years at Fab Lab Barcelona and have been involved in different European projects and local projects that are somehow connected to Fab City. And today the idea for the presentation is really to share a bit of our strategies and challenge and achievements in establishing our initiative here in Barcelona. And I really hope that it can be some inspiration for those that are starting. And I'm really glad also to be contributing to it. And also after the presentation, of course, you can contact me for more information. So can you see my second slide already, right?
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. So firstly, I'd like just to clarify our different levels of involvement in Fab City. So as you know, we have this, let's say three, I don't know how we call it, like community or scales of Fab City in terms of having a foundation, network, and collective. And I'd like just to make it clear for those that I perhaps don't know, AYAC, Fab Lab Barcelona, is one of the founding members of Fab City Foundation. And in the network, we have been Fab Lab Barcelona has been the let's say the lead in Barcelona within the AYAC, Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, and involved with many network locally but also globally. In terms of the collective, just to highlight that our effort in trying to bring knowledge through the different projects that we lead and participate here and feed the collective with more information, being open for future collaborations. So then I'd like to just go through this timeline. I think can be interesting for those that haven't been following Fab City since the beginning, and I think it's important for us to perhaps show like how has been our involvement since the beginning of the establishment of the initiative. And the idea, I don't want to spend so much time in explaining the whole story and everything about Fab Lab Barcelona nor Fab City, but I think it's important just to explain like a bit of how has been our involvement and how this interactions has been impacting somehow our local strategies here in the city. Also, as I mentioned before, I have been working for the last 5 years in Fab Lab Barcelona, so I was not involved at the beginning of the establishment of everything, but I have been following all the discussions and process since I started working in different projects in the house. So back in 2007, Fab Lab Barcelona became the first European-based Fab Lab of the global network established within the Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. And in 2009, we had the launch of Fab Academy. We were involved somehow in this main course that is globally known about supporting the trainings of makers around the rapid prototyping and also digital fabrication. In 2011, so we had the Fab 7 in Lima, in Peru, and in this conference that focused on the theme of fabricating sustainability, the idea of building Fab City arose, and from this point, many discussions started around its implementation. Then in 2012, Barcelona was chosen to host the 10th International Fab Lab Conference, named From Fab Labs to Fab Cities, and it's actually when it started to grow and the discussions started to be like more transversal to the whole network. And then in 2014, we had the Fab 10 happening in Barcelona. And I think here is very important to highlight this important change in the outlooks of Fab Labs from being only equipment working with digital fabrication to be places where we can also be more connected to transforming cities. And then the Fab City roadmap is launched within this conference. I tried to also put it on the bottom some project that started at this point that somehow had an influence in the way that we have been approaching Fab City in Barcelona. Then in 2015, something super important in the city started. Is actually started before, but Barcelona in 2015 opened the first public network of Fab Labs run by a city. And this plan was already included in the strategic framework of the Barcelona City Council that from 2012 to 2015. And here, Fab Lab Barcelona and AIAC, we had an important role in advising the main strategy for the establishment since starting from the urbanistic distribution. So in Barcelona, we have led by the municipality, different equipments distributed in different districts of the city. So we were involved in somehow in the strategy, but also in the building the physical infrastructure of the spaces, selecting machines and helping supporting the layout of the spaces. From 2017 and 2018, at global level, of course, we had the Fab City being established and based in Estonia. In 2018, we also participated in the production of I would say the first Fab City book that is called The Mass Distribution of Almost Anything. And it is also at this time that we started to explore Poblenou neighborhood as a Fab City prototype. So, and then I'll explain better the different ways that we have been doing this since this time. But so this neighborhood in Barcelona was actually the main area or territory in which we have been trying to start from like a smaller scale before moving towards the city and bioregions territories. In 2019, we had the establishment of the first Fab City Hub. It happened in Barcelona, and the idea was not only to bring the community closer to our activities, but also letting them the space to propose, present, and feel belonging to the initiative somehow. And many activities happened at this point along the year that connected to the three main focus of Fab City on food, energy, and materials. And we did like many participatory workshops, trainings, community lunch and talks. And unfortunately, in 2020, we had to close the space due to the COVID pandemic restrictions, which was somehow very hard for us because we were really passionate about the place. For you to have an idea, it was really close to where we are based now here in Poblenou, the Carrer Pujadas. But the space was much more oriented in like a more community level. So we didn't have like lots of machines and there. It was really the idea was for the community to keep more belonging, less afraid, because I don't know if for those that haven't been at AIAC, mainly now that we have some changes, transitions in the space, there are a lot of machines and robots and things, and so people that don't have necessarily a technical background, they can feel a bit afraid of like being so close to technology. So for us was a really a strategy of onboarding people, like having this kind of initial talks on how technology can be used for social innovation, for example, and then bringing them to the space where we actually have the machines. So in 2020 we had to close the space, but I mean it was a challenge, but also for opportunity for us, let's say a trigger to help us in being first more resilient, but also starting to think about other strategies and strong connections to many other productive spaces in the city. And of course, everybody, I think at this point, started to look for online strategies and different ways of engagement. And I think we had like lots of things to learn from this process. And again, on the bottom of the slide, you have like all the some of the projects that we have been participating or leading that are connected to the establishment of Fab City here in Barcelona. So I think for those that are also starting, it's important like just to say that our strategy has been really focused on try to combine the proposals that we apply, that we have like a final goal that in the end is how we can build this infrastructure of having different Fab Labs, maker spaces, crafts and creative spaces, being the protagonist of change in the cities. So for us, even though, I don't know, here, for example, Food Shift focus much more on food systems, we try to also bring this concept to the acceleration incubation programs that we had. The same for Romy, like, producing kind of a robot that can help the idea of bringing productivity back to the cities and so on. I will not have the time to explain all the projects, but I'm also super happy that to share the Fab Labs Barcelona website, in which we have like all the information about this project. And just to finalize the timeline, in last year, 2023, and this year, let's say, we are leading this implementation of the network of productive and collaborative spaces of Barcelona. This has been, I will explain a bit better because it's connected to one of the projects that I'm presenting that is called Centrino. But it's basically the idea is really doing somehow production, or their interest in investigating how production can be based in cities to come together and have like a common goal and objectives, and try to see how our interests can be combined in order to bring also added value for communities in the city. Another thing I would like to share before going deep to the project and examples that I would like to share is about an exercise that we did. And I think I was wondering if I should add it to the presentation, but I think something nice to share. So as you know, we have the Fab City Manifesto that was built, I don't remember exactly the year. But the exercise that we did here in Barcelona was actually to have like a series of meetings between the different people involved, and trying to see like what are the main principles or aspects of this manifesto that we could prioritize in our activities. Of course, you see like we have 10 principles, and we try to, of course, bring all of them to our activities. But we thought at this point, when we started these meetings, that we would have somehow to kind of tailor or customize these principles in our context. So we did this exercise of kind of landing the principles within the Barcelona context, and trying to rewrite the principles in a way that we could feel that are closer to our objectives. And then also, of course, sharing it between. I will not go through them, just for you to know that I think is a interesting exercise that you perhaps could do with your stakeholders, really to see like, okay, what do we understand by being locally productive, or having a people-centered approach? Like, what does it mean in our city, with our context, with all the, I don't know, some perhaps in different cities we have problems, or like, let's say, challenge in terms of I don't know, gentrification, or I don't know, urbanistic plans, and how it can affect our activities. And so considering the different principles and trying to land them in the territory, I think was really, really interesting for us to better frame our approach. And before talking about achievements and results of projects, I think it's super nice also to open the discussion about like the local challenge that we have. Is mainly, let's say, the neighborhood where we are based, and where we are trying to better prototype the concept of Fab City in Barcelona, that's called Poblano, that is inside another district that's called Sant Martí. There has been a very intense urbanistic plan going on. So there are lots of changes, like new buildings. So there was an important transition from being a industrial zone to a more digitalized digital environment. And with these, there are, of course, positive aspects that happened, but also we can understand, the difficulties and challenges for some or many of the local manufacturers, local providers and makers in the territory, because with all these changes, and the municipality perhaps focusing more on bringing service instead production to the neighborhood, many local actors that have been facing problems such as not having license for production, or having their rents super expensive, not being able to pay for keeping their spaces. So I brought here some random pictures of, for example, the one on the middle of the slide is like one local stakeholder that they had this familiar business called Licking Wood, and they unfortunately had to close their doors because they couldn't, pay the rent anymore, and it was a difficult moment for them. So we have been in contact with different, stakeholders since the beginning. They started to implement their business here in the neighborhood, and have been facing together with them this local challenge. Also, as I mentioned before, all the restrictions in terms of the pandemic times, we had to readapt and to reconsider how we see production back to the cities in a world that we were no longer able to meet in person. So also many strategies arose from there. And the last picture here in the bottom on the right, it's something super new that is happening. I just thought that would be nice to bring the topic. The most important or the biggest productive space in Barcelona, it's called TMDC. I don't know, for those that are familiar with the space or have been there. Actually, have also an open door this Saturday. I think for those that are around. They also received a notification that some of the spaces that they have that are fully equipped with tools and machinery will have to be closed because there are some urbanistic plans going on. So anyway, there are many challenges that we have been facing, and I think it's also important to bring it to discussion among the partners to just exchange some ideas and strategies we could take. But of course, with challenge, we also always have some opportunities that can be connected, and just bring here some pictures of activities we have been doing in trying to or support existing initiatives that are working with the same principles of Fab City, or those that are interested in joining somehow. So we are really, through Fab Lab Barcelona and the different projects that I will explain now, trying to open the space for having this more transversal dialogue with local actors. Also really pushing the idea of course, as all the Fab Labs, having this more practical approach of learn by doing, trying to see how digital fabrication can also be combined with ancestral and traditional techniques, and trying to see how this, let's say, old way of production can also be a catalyzer for us to reimagine how circular economy, for example, can be brought to production and so on. So here there are just some pictures, and there are many interesting projects that we have been involved that are connected to our strategy and local approach in Barcelona for Fab City. And I will focus in 4 of them if I have time. I think I still have some. So first, I did the exercise of trying to connect some of these projects to the different layers of the full stack of Fab City, and I selected these 4 projects / initiatives to bring to you and share some of the results and challenges that we have been facing or implementing. And so basically, I think it's always interesting to have really in mind, the full stack, and see, okay, if we are, writing a new proposal, or if we are starting a new collaboration with different initiatives, what would be the layers that we would be more focused on. Of course, I think for everybody, we might have the same thought that these layers can also be really connected. So a single project can really be involved with many of them. But if you think about, I don't know, for example, Remix de Barrios is a project that I will explain now. We really worked with incubating initiatives that were connected with food waste. So yeah, I've tried to focus on the different layers and bring in these examples. So the first example is about this European project. It's called Syscode. So Syscode runs from 2018 to 2021. I also tried to add the tags here, bringing if the initiative is focused on food, materials, or energy, or more than one categories. And Syscode was really about bridging the gap between co-creation, policymaking, and science, enabling local community members to become more active stakeholders in decision-making. And in Barcelona, connecting now with our local approach, we developed our pilot was focused on recycling, recovering food waste from different spaces in the same neighborhood that's called Poblenou, and try to see how these materials or these resources that we are producing, that we were no longer calling it then as waste. In Spanish, we call it then as recursos. And see like how this fabrication and traditional techniques could be an instrument or a tool for bringing people together to create strategies for recycling them and working towards social innovation. So there were many activities in terms of training, support to business models, and of course dissemination. So there were 10 projects that were incubated with following, of course, the criteria and our approach to be like open source. All the process should be documented. So there were a few criteria for people to apply. I think one thing very interesting to mention is that for this project, the criteria were not focused on a previous background of the community, so people could like have no contact at all with digital fabrication, but actually having like an idea, a material they would like to focus, and already try to see in the neighborhood from where they could collect, for example, eggshells or orange peels, for example. So in the end of this project, we ended up creating a collective. I think another thing very interesting to mention here is that at the beginning we were imagining this project being incubated individually, but because we had COVID at this point, and I think people were closer to really share and spend more time online together. There were this interest in keeping together as a collective. So they decided in the end they don't want to have only their initiatives incubated, but they want to incubate themselves as a collective. Let's call it Remix. So Remix del Barrio. So here they wrote, I will not go through the manifesto, but I think was interesting to really, bring our ideas of like what we wanted to achieve with this collective, and many ideas came. There are lots of information, documentation, and pictures on our website. I think, I'm sorry. You can, I don't know, you can see some, I sent her some links. I don't know to Mitali, if you have the links for sharing here in the chat for people to follow what I'm talking about, or I can share them afterwards. Another thing that happened that was super nice in 2021, this collective won the let's say most important prize of the European Union for European Commission that combined technology and artistic practice. That's called the STARS Prize. And this also gave lots of visibility for the project, and they were able to show the results and propose other trainings and workshops around the world. So it was, something that we were really proud about. Second project or initiative that I would like to share with you today that is really connected to our approach for local production is the MakeWorks platform. So MakeWorks is an open access platform for fabricators, material suppliers, workshops, and manufacturers. And this is really connected to the layer of developing infrastructure and technologies for local production. And through MakeWorks, the main idea is to bring a production in a more accessible way to the cities. And sorry, I will go to this slide. So basically, what we push through MakeWorks is to share, all the information about the manufacturers, material suppliers, and creative spaces through the website. So basically the idea that you can filter what type of machines you're looking for or what type of processes, and this information, making this information more accessible, we believe that we can create better collaboration between local producers. I skipped some slides, but was again to talk about our local approach. So the territorial scope of MakeWorks Catalonia is still based in the neighborhood of Poblenou, that is here. Now maybe you can be better familiarized with like which region of Barcelona I'm talking about. And as I said before, this neighborhood has been going through an intense transformation. So what we try to do through MakeWorks and through Centrino, that I will explain later, is really to see how all this industrial background and history of Poblano can be the catalyzer of considering the heritage, not only spaces, the physical spaces, but also the traditions and ways of production that people used to practice in the past, and bring it to be combined with new technologies in the present. So here again, you have access to the MakeWorks website. So basically, when we do the visits to the local producers, we try to get some basic information in terms of what are type of the capacity they have, what are the file types that they accept, what are the minimum order. So the idea is not that we are intermediate organization in this process. So the customers or people interested in contact them, they have directly their information here. So their phone and social media and so on. And basically for us, the idea is really to put some faces and information that people can better identify types of services or products they normally are buying from big corporations, and to see that we are still producing in cities, and it is actually what we are pushing forward. Am I still have time? Do I have
Yes, about
right?
10 more minutes.
10 minutes, perfect, yes. And then MakeWorks is a platform that is really connected to this project called Centrino. Centrino is, let's say, I connected the project with the prototyping place-based interventions layer of the full stack, and I'll explain why. So basically, in Centrino, we have been working with different 9 pilot cities distributed around Europe, with the idea of focusing on industrial historical sites and undergoing transformation. And the last years through Centrino, we showcase the potential of these historical areas as, again, these catalyzers for social inclusion, local production, new ways of learning, and development of circular economy practices. And then I will focus again back to Barcelona. Do not spend much more time talking about the project. We focused on the neighborhood of Poblano, so keeping the idea of developing this neighborhood as our main prototype for Fab City. And there were lots of activities happening in the last 3 years of project, and I would like just to highlight some of them. This is a QMU platform, is a open source platform that we used with the support from Metabolic Institute to better map what are the resources that we have available in the city, and resources here not meaning only products, but also knowledge. So what are type of like skills and abilities that people can share between them. And we try to create connections of existing interactions, but also potential interaction that could happen in this territory, considering the basic information that we had from the stakeholders. For some of them, those that are part of MakeWorks now, so MakeWorks for us was also a strategy for going to the stakeholders and inviting them to participate, not only in the project, but also having their profile in the platform. We had, of course, a questionnaire that we asked them for more information about their history and the resources they have available. Another thing that we did in the project was urban mining analysis. So basically, this analysis was focused on understanding the amount of wood that we had available in Poblano, sorry, in San Martin district, existing in buildings. There were categories of different types of buildings. So our idea was basically considering that we had been going through this intense transformation in terms of urbanistic plans in the neighborhood. What if we know how much wood we have available in the city, and we think we can, as long as we know like how much wood we have, we can also think about what we can do with this wood, because now we have information about materials available. If their buildings are being demolished, then we can recover them, and what are let's say the other ingredients necessary for recirculating this material in the city. And the ingredients here, let's say, that are the spaces where we can produce, but also the people that who could be interested in recycling and recovering this wood, and so on. So yes, Centrino had also this important focus on circular economy. Here again, some activities that we did in terms of creating community and bringing people to learn about different types of techniques. Here, this panel was a huge I don't remember, yeah, 2 by 2 meters of an embroidery that I was focusing on bringing the idea of the traditional practices with the women labor, and it happened in the contest of 8th of March. Was really interesting. So we had the community really participating and using this fabrication for building the frame, but also understanding and learning techniques of embroidery while they were talking and discussing, like as our grandmother used to do. And yeah, so this finalized about Centrino. We had an important event that was a collaborative exhibition we did in the end of the project that was based in one of the most emblematic heritage sites of the city. That was really important also, again, back in the 60s in the local production of textiles in Barcelona. And you can see in the pictures, we have the exhibition for people to see some materials, also talks, bringing people to share the ideas together and co-create a possible agenda for the future. And regarding the last picture on the bottom on the right, through MakeWorks, we also had the idea together with the manufacturers and creatives to bring their profiles, so their stories in the first person in their pictures. So of course, we know there are many people still producing the cities, but we cannot see them because they're normally super busy. So the idea was actually to bring their stories to the exhibition and showing some of the items and tools they use to practice. So the idea was more to show the process of fabricating instead of only showing the final result, really valorizing the process of making. And just something I would like to mention, that on Thursday, we have the final event of Centrino. So for those that are interested in understanding more about what the other 8 pilots did in the last 3 years of project, we will have this webinar on Thursday. So everybody are super invited to join. And the last project I would like to mention, it is distributed design. This project is more connected to, let's say, the layer of orchestrating efforts between local communities and initiatives. So distributed design is a European-wide platform that advocates to bring, let's say, the intersection between the maker movement and in design sensibility. So it provides a framework for designers, makers, and creatives to innovate in the field of design towards more sustainable, open, and collaborative practices. And I would like to focus on a specific activity that we developed here last year. So here, I'm probably very familiar with this graph. So again, distributed design is all about the same approach we have in Fab City, really trying to bring the production back to the cities and use the exportation more in terms of data. And this is the initiative I'd like to bring. It's called Circular Cities Challenge. It happened last year in July, and the idea was to bring creative talent to ideate and prototype strategies to recycle and reuse waste materials from different types of sources. So there were 23 international local creative talents participating in developing solutions or ideas for design challenge a long period of 5 days. And these were the main topics. We focus on energy, natural materials, textiles, and food. So the challenges were proposed by some organizations and associations of Barcelona. So here again, the idea was actually to bring this collective knowledge from the bottom up, from following a bottom up perspective, and try to see how these creative minds could bring solutions for this challenge of the city. This information is also available on the website. There are videos and information that you can check more on the solutions that were created. And that's it. So I hope you could follow the different approaches and strategies that have been taking place in Barcelona, and I'm really happy to go through the questions. I will stop sharing. There you go.
Thank you, Milena. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to unmute your mic and speak up, or you can write them in the chat as well.
Yeah, I would be really interested to know if people have been following, similar strategies or totally different. So this can be a good moment for exchanging ideas. I'm not seeing anyone from Centrino here that might be busy for the meeting on Thursday. But yeah.
Maybe to kick off, Milena, I can ask you a question. I think it was like, what what are some of the upcoming uh, challenges or upcoming projects for Fab City Barcelona?
Yes. So I would say that, this year we are completing the 10th anniversary of Fab City, in which back in 2014, our city council was committed to also go through this challenge. And for us, as I said before, through Centrino, we have been establishing supporting the establishment of this network of productive and collaborative spaces. So basically, what we would like to focus this year is really to try to find opportunities and funding opportunities, of course, because we always need, the basic resources for organizing activities and inviting the citizens to participate. But really open the space for other stakeholders to share their ideas and what they believe that could be connected to the different principles. So we have been already meeting regularly with the stakeholders that are working or leading different spaces in Barcelona. There are more than 50 people participating in, I think, 23 organizations. And this basically what we would like to see in the next phases is really like how we can find synergies in terms of sharing resources, sharing knowledge, proposing activities that are open for citizens to participate, and bringing the idea of always combining the digital fabrication with perhaps techniques, and see like how cities can be more resilient towards the future. In practical terms, it's about like meeting and making strategies for these local activities to take place.
A couple of follow-up questions here. So for the different stakeholders of these different projects and events, organizationally, what is the relation with like the Fab City consortium or local team in that sense? Are they all aligned with Fab City values when they come into these projects, or do they come for specific uh, events, timelines, projects in general, and then the consortium sort of connects the dots? How is it all organized?
Yeah, so basically, so this new network that I'm mentioning now, that we believe that to be, the strongest pillar that we have been able to build so far. They haven't really signed like an agreement that they are already part of Fab City. We will have like official invitation for those that want to join the initiative, and the local team, let's say the local initiative in Barcelona. But basically, like the first exercise that we did, and I presented before, in trying to land the principles in the city, in our context, was more like led by Fab Lab Barcelona. But we're really hoping to open it as soon as we have officially people being onboarded, the stakeholders, like being part of the initiative. It's very important that we can validate and actually propose, open the space for them to propose even principles that are not so far identified by us. So basically, the idea is that for each type of activity we are doing, we are having specific agreements with them and see like what are the roles and responsibilities in the different projects. And but there's so far there's no like let's say an official commitment that they should follow certain activities along the year. It's based on projects.
Perfect. Thank you. I see Adriana, you have a question here.
Yes, thank you, Milena, for your presentation. I think it's very rich in projects, and I just wrote the question, and we are starting also our project based on and inspired from the concept of Fab City. In the context where we are coming is not, let's say, not all are Fab. Not belonging to a Fab Lab or are not familiar with the concept of the Fab community. So I think that what we faced, or I think that one of the important questions is that how the industry approach also this so how I was very about yes the relation. Do we recommend some, or do you have practices?
I'll connect the topic connected with the idea of creating the synergies between Fab Labs, makerspaces with the industry. So basically, I would say like the project that we are more connected to, let's say a bigger scale of production, they come to us actually to understand how innovation and how this rapid prototyping can happen or can emerge from this collective knowledge in cities. So the idea, I think, also what we try to push through the different projects is really on how we influence industry to change, right? So that's why for us very important that we keep, for example, the projects that we are incubating in an open source format. So Remix Everybody, for example, was one of the projects that I mentioned before. There were many projects that were created, and one of them that had lots of achievements in the end was based on olive pits. So olive oil and olives in general in Spain is a very important industry, and they basically the waste of this industry has been used for biomass or for energy. That's already something good. But in this project, we want to like a local organization. And a collective they did, it was basically trying to see like how this could be transformed into biomaterials, right? So again, like studying and taking the time through the project to understand how circular economy principles in terms of producing things that in the end can be recycled or can have like a more sustainable life cycle, let's say. It's super important. It's something that I think at Fab Labs and spaces that we have access to machines and knowledge, because also considering we are part of this global network of more than 2,000 Fab Labs around the world, but also through Fab Cities we have this other network within a network, is trying to see like how the knowledge from other spaces can better fit in your project, and see like through different initiatives how like industry can also be open for receiving these types of feedback. So for example, Mercabarna is another big organization. They're the responsible for the food supply in the city, and they were open, for example, to offer this challenge for us within the concept of distributed design. And now these ideas and solutions that were developed, they're also influencing their local agenda or internal agreements in the organization. So I think for us, like basically, it's about like testing, prototyping, and trying to influence. If you have the opportunity also to work towards policy making. So basically, projects that we participate, there's always this phase of outreach and translate the practical knowledge in policy briefs, for example. So how this idea of gathering so much information, because of course the municipality don't have the time to go to knock on the doors of makers, understanding like what are the main challenges you have, but we do have, right? So because we have, of course, I'm saying here something that maybe is not the same for everybody, but I would recognize that we have let's say the privilege of having funding that we can spend time in understanding the local challenge and really try to see how being this ecosystem activator, this platform where we can concentrate and create evidences of the importance of, for example, bringing production back to the cities, can influence somehow the way of the industry are producing. And we have been doing, not only through European projects, but also other types of services, some this circular design workshops that companies and industries come to learn about machines and see like how they can be more efficient and more sustainable in their practices. So yeah, I don't know if I answer your question, but I see like so many connections. It's kind of difficult to frame in one single example.
Yes, thank you. Maybe yeah, to the cases or like the industries and see how it pictures like this change afterwards. But yes, thank you.
And comments, suggestions, observations.
I would have a follow-up question on your reply right now, Milena. First, thanks for the nice presentation. Seems like you have a really, really cool community going on there. You mentioned that it is also important to think about policy making. How would you describe your relationship with the policy making in Barcelona, and how do you engage policymakers to participate and to support your initiatives?
Yes. So again, there are like a few examples that I could bring, but again, there, of course, when we have a project that they have this like policymaking influence as the the core of the project, much easier, because then through the different partners in the consortium, they can also get the knowledge. Of course, we are not policymakers here. We are just trying to influence some of the, let's say, the agenda of the city. One example could be through citizen science. So for example, now we are participating into initiatives that has to be with bringing the knowledge and the idea that citizens can also participate in monitoring environmental issues, not only monitoring but participating like on trying to explore what would be potential alternatives, for example, for controlling noise in public spaces. So by having the digital and the physical infrastructure for monitoring, so we work with low-cost sensors. We equip the people to understand like how to use it. This information is open, is available in the platforms. And here I'm pretty much focusing on smart cities. I know if you're familiar. It is one example that we could influence policy making. There, of course, there were many steps on it. We also had the support from the media coming, to talk to the neighbors and the citizens that participating in the project. And in the end, there were some policies applied in terms of not allowing, certain volume of noise after certain hour of the day, right? So it's really about like bringing the citizens to be the protagonists and actually showing the power of that this data can be, of course, trustful for the municipality, but also trying to bring the citizen to reclaim and be more active in participating in the local agenda. Another example that would give that actually we didn't manage to reach or change something, but through this urban mining analysis that we did, of course, that we have to understand that perhaps the municipalities, they don't have a specific project or department focused on understanding what are the leftovers materials from construction in a neighborhood, but we had, the time for exploring this amount of wood that could be recirculated back to the city. So for us was, again, we're now going through the final phase of Centrina, and this information will be published. So kind of creating all the data that the municipality could use. Of course, there's all entire process because they are perhaps not considered as official data, but how this information from this study can influence or open their eyes that there are, this challenge here, and this should be taken into consideration to their next strategies for the city in terms of, circular economy or recirculating materials. So I would say, of course, depending on the time that you have in the project and who are involved, but creating this great connection with city council is always a goal, and it sometimes is not that easy. So inviting them to participating in their events, trying to see like different types of engagement are crucial. And of course, like I wouldn't be, it's not fair that I say that it's easy to influence policies, but creating evidences and through examples of things that we have been doing, I think is the best way. But information, they need to be documented and published. That's why the open source philosophy again here comes with an important role of bringing this knowledge publicly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perfect. To keep with the time, I am going to start wrapping up. So just to sort of bring it together, thank you, Milena, very much for your time and for everything that you took us through from the timeline of the evolution of Barcelona, how the Fab City started from an idea to a pilot, and then gradually beyond Barcelona became a global network and movement, but then also for sharing on-ground challenges in the transformation of Poblano as an industrial neighborhood, and the opportunity that it brought about in a way. And then the four very interesting projects. I'm sure there is a lot more to discuss and a lot more questions. So as Milena mentioned previously, please feel free to reach out and write to her. We have a WhatsApp Fab City community channel as well, along with our Slack and other social media. So please feel free to keep in touch. And let me introduce right now the next roundtable happening on the 27th of February at the same time. And the topic for this is going to be how to form a consortium. This is going to be with Fab City Brazil, with Lina Marini. In the chat, you will also find a link to register for this roundtable next week. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you all for your questions. Hope to see you on the next roundtable. And please feel free to reach out to us on any of the channels or info@fab.city. Have a great rest of the day, rest of the evening, rest of the week, and see you guys around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.